Good morning. I'm Dr. Sarita Subramaniam, a dentist by profession, a wildlife lover by passion, and a wildlife conservationist by conviction. Over the last 3 decades, my husband and I, we've traveled across the country in search of elusive and common wildlife. A few years ago, we decided to give back to nature. I knew from my professional training that if I had to work in wildlife conservation, I would have to go to the root cause of the issues and provide simple yet practical solutions. Obviously, I didn't become a wildlife conservationist from being a dentist overnight. That took several years. But I learned to fight for wildlife. From being a casual wildlife lover, I became a wildlife activist when Ustad, the tiger from Ranthambore, was taken to the zoo because he had allegedly killed a forest guard inside the forest. We felt this was unjust, and so with like-minded wildlife lovers, we formed a campaign and we called it Freedom for Ustad. Ustad was my first guru. Ustad went to the forest and he stayed there for 17 years, till he was 17, for 7 years, I would say, in miserable captivity. And though I tried a lot, and we all tried through candle marches, through protests, online petitions. Back then, Facebook was a big deal, so we would have heated discussions on Facebook just to ensure that there was pressure to release him back to the zoo. Often I would leave my practice in Mumbai and rush to New Delhi if any high-ranking bureaucrat or politician told me that he or she would let Ustad go back into the wild. But Ustad just died in the zoo. I was ridiculed and dismissed as just a dentist, a social media activist, an armchair activist by renowned wildlife conservationists and their followers. I was mocked for having contrarian views of the existing wildlife conservation narrative. Presently, we believe that as wildlife conservationists, we have to consider humans or the communities in and around the forest as the primary stakeholders. So they have to be supported so that they don't have any resentment and animosity towards wildlife, and the forest department can carry out their wildlife management. I believe if I'm a wildlife conservationist, then I should consider wildlife and forests as the primary stakeholders. The limited resources available to wildlife NGOs must target their primary beneficiaries, which is the forest and wildlife. But the present reality is that human-wildlife conflict is on the rise. Each day, there is enough and more that Mother Nature has provided for human needs, but not human greed. With our ever-increasing population, the demand for forest land is increasing, both by individuals and by institutions for mining and other linear infrastructure projects. Ustad also made me dwell deeper into the mythical world of man-eaters. I wondered where the term came from. So I did a bit of research and I found that there is not a single reference to the term man-eater in our entire well-documented Indian history. In fact, tigers are venerated as the Vahan of Lord Ayyappa and Goddess Durga. Many parts of Maharashtra and Karnataka still worship the tiger as, a being like a god. So where did this term come from? I believe it's a colonial construct, a term coined by the British profit-driven companies which came to India, destroyed our forests to grow cash crops like tea and coffee. They brought in a lot of migrants, plantation workers. The migrants didn't have the sensibilities of the locals around these forested areas. So any big predator which was considered a threat to the migrants was quickly declared as a man-eater and ordered to be hunted or eliminated by the British Wildlife Warden. It was also the British Wildlife Warden who would give the hunting permits because the Britishers had got the thrill of shikar, aping the Maharajas and Nawabs of India. hunting continued. The British left India, but they left in 1947 when India gained independence, but for another 25 years, hunting continued unabashedly in India till the then Prime Minister, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, till 1972, when Mrs. Indira Gandhi, the late Prime Minister, she banned hunting in India through the promulgated Act of 1972 Wildlife Protection Act. Now, why do I say that the British wildlife wardens or the hunters who became writers and wrote books about man-eaters, they all got it wrong? Because it is not until 2009 that tiger stripe markings were known to us. The Indian wildlife scientist, Dr. Ullas Karant, and his partner discovered that tiger stripe markings are as unique as the human fingerprint. No two tigers have the same stripe markings, which is why this is Munna, the tiger from Kanha Tiger Reserve, who was hugely popular because he had markings on his forehead which looked like CAT, cat. After the 1972 ban on hunting, hunting would still continue, but certain endangered species like tigers, lions, leopards, wolves, elephants, they were considered endangered and given the highest protection under the WPA and classified as Schedule 1 animals. The British left, but the colonial legacy continues even today, because there is only one person in the country who can actually declare a Schedule 1 animal to be removed from the wild or even eliminated. And that is that state's chief wildlife warden. And not even the Honorable Supreme Court can revoke this order. I learned this the hard way several times when I filed PILs in the court, public interest litigations in the courts for Tigress Avni. The only regret I had with Ustad's campaign was that I did not file the public interest litigation on his behalf. I thought I was correcting my mistake when I constantly fought battles in the Honorable Bombay High Court and in the Honorable Supreme Court. Because Tigress Avni was a young mother. She was a mother of 2 cubs. Again, I would say Avni was my second teacher because she exposed more of the ground reality where tiger conservationists would write a letter and sign it and send it to the CWLW of Maharashtra saying Avni should be eliminated in the larger interest of tiger conservation as a species rather than focus on individuals. But I ask you, shouldn't conservation of an endangered species start with protection of a mother and a species and her cubs? The Maharashtra State Chief Wildlife Warden had ordered not once but several times capture and elimination order for Avni, even though she was a mother. A private shikari was officially summoned by the CWLW of Maharashtra to come and hunt her. And despite the huge Let Avni Live campaign and all the petitions in the court, Avni was shot dead by the hunter's son at night on November 2nd, 2018. I was devastated. I was hoping for some judicial support, something to bring about some change in the archaic wildlife management policies which exist in the country. Some directive to the wildlife departments across the country so that they do better capacity building rather than rely on private shikaris to come and hunt our national animal. But I still wanted to work in human-wildlife conflict mitigation. I was told I'm stubborn. But I think stubbornness is a negative trait. I believe I'm resilient, tenacious, determined. And I can do this because my husband and I, we choose to see the silver lining and not the dark clouds. One such cloudy afternoon in summer in 2016 in Kanha Tiger Reserve, I saw a young tigress, MV3, a sub-adult tigress, who came to drink water from this small puddle. And I thought to myself, if this is all the water that the mighty tigress gets, what happens to the lesser beings in the forest? MV3 taught me how to become a wildlife conservationist. We came back to Mumbai and we decided to form our own NGO called Earth Brigade Foundation. The initiative to provide drinking water for wild animals inside the forest is called Project Aquarius. And we believe that we found our life's purpose, to provide drinking water for the animals inside the safety and security of the forests. After all, water is the essence of all life beings. We ourselves had gone through the sustainable path because we had bought a small parcel of barren land, and we, as weekend organic farmers, we grow and eat our own rice for the last 20 years. Why did we choose sustainable path? Because most of the forest departments back then were providing drinking water for wildlife through diesel water tankers and diesel generators. The question in your mind right now should be, why does forest department or Sarita need to provide water? We all know that Indian summers are torrid and water scarcity is a reality we are facing. What we fully don't know is that there's a huge water crisis inside the forest too. Many parts of our forest are dry and there is no water for animals to drink in summers. Traditionally, the animals would migrate from one part of the forest to another part of the forest, instinctively. But the human juggernaut of development and progress is blocking these migratory corridors, and the animals face a do-or-die situation in the forest. So in search of water and food, the wild herbivores go outside the safety of the forest towards human settlements. And when that happens, the predator also follows its prey, and the human-wildlife conflict escalates and goes out of control. So we wanted to address the water issue through Project Aquarius. But unfortunately for me, I had a huge health crisis within few days of forming our NGO. I was mostly bedridden. I had mobility issues. I was in a lot of pain and agony, and I couldn't resume my dental practice. And I couldn't play my favorite sport, badminton. I thought it was a curse. In hindsight, I think it was a blessing from the universe, because now I could focus on Project Aquarius. So Project Aquarius addresses the issue of providing drinking water through solar-powered pump set installations. This provides drinking water for the animals in a reliable and predictable manner. They don't need to go outside the forest, which means the human-wildlife conflict has got minimized. Less road kills, less wildlife-related accidents because they are not going outside the forest. Because of the provision of water, the forest department is able to do better watershed management, better grassland management. There is enhanced biodiversity in a sustainable, natural way without us even planting a single sapling. We also helped in climate mitigation. Now, why did we choose solar energy? Solar energy is sustainable, renewable, non-polluting, and the solar installations are low maintenance too. More importantly, solar energy is abundantly and freely available in India, especially in summer months when it is needed most in the forests. With the blessings of wildlife lovers, family, friends, and also of conscientious forest officials, our NGO did the first solar installations in Hulikatte in Bandipur Tiger Reserve in Karnataka. 75 different wildlife Indian photographers helped us organize a wildlife photography exhibition at the prestigious Jahangir Art Gallery in Mumbai. And we raised funds and we donated more pump set installations in Bandipur, some in Brahmapuri division in Maharashtra, and few in Pench, Madhya Pradesh, Pench Tiger Reserve in Madhya Pradesh. Soon the requests from many more forest departments started coming in, and I'm proud to say that Project Aquarius, from January 2018 when we did our first installation to January 2026, we have done 205 solar installations in 8 different states, different topography, different terrain, 30 different forests, of which 23 are tiger-dominated landscapes. Project Aquarius also addresses 4 UN Sustainability Development Goals: clean water, clean energy, life on land, and mitigation of climate change. Because we have changed the modality of drinking water provision from the fossil fuel based diesel water tankers to the solar energy based pump set installations, we have saved the national exchequer several lakhs of rupees it would have otherwise spent on fuel, maintenance, salaries, etc. Because the trucks are not moving inside the forest, we have minimized carbon emission to several lakh pounds. Extrapolating the data, the benefit of the 205 installations inside the forest is equivalent to us having planted 20,000 plus fully mature trees doing carbon sequestration for us and giving the much needed oxygen. Of course, from April 2024 to 2025 December, we have won 7 awards. And we are truly grateful to them, all the organizations, because it has helped bring the problem of water scarcity inside the forest and the need to address it to the common people. Project Aquarius has shown how direct wildlife conservation is a scalable and replicable model. Wildlife compassion and scientific wildlife management need not be in silos. We can collaborate together with the Forest Department and support wildlife conservation. I would urge the policy makers in the country to get rid of the policy paralysis that exists in the country. I would urge that wildlife conservation be a mandate in CSR so that more corporates can support directly in wildlife conservation. After all, we have a collective responsibility in protecting India's natural heritage. I want you to remember MV3, the tigress who made me a wildlife conservationist. A few years after I saw her, she was seen with her first litter of cubs next to a water body supplied through our NGO. Life comes a full circle. This is our duty towards Mother Nature. And I am only paying the tuition fees for everything she has taught me. I leave you with a video which shows elephants drinking water from a water body supplied by our NGO. This is what makes everything worthwhile. Thank you. Jai Hind.